So, welcome, Carol,
Thank you.
and thank you for accepting my invite to my show. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Yeah, I'm so excited to talk about sleep and tapping and all that goes with it.
Well, then I'll introduce you properly. Yeah. Carol is a sleep coach, and I'm going to read the name of this, the founder of the Sleep Success Academy. And she helps focus on all the issues that might be affecting you and your sleep. And her primary tool is EFT. However, she's very good at picking out those little habits that people have that are devastating to getting adequate sleep. And sleep is important, as Carol knows. So, welcome, Carol. Yeah. Um,
Thank you.
I suppose my first question would be, what led you to come into the therapy field? What motivated you to come this direction?
It's quite a story because I was a corporate, person living the office job, 9 to 5, very busy, very stressed. And all of a sudden I stopped sleeping from the stress of the job and life and kids and just so many things, just overwhelmed. And when I stopped sleeping, and I had to stop working because it was, I reached a point where I couldn't even feel my hands and feet from the level of stress in my body. I was lost. I didn't have anyone that could say to me, "Oh, you're just overwhelmed and your nervous system is activated. And here, let's do some tapping to help you reduce the stress. And then your nervous system will get regulated and you'll go back to sleep."
Mm.
All I had was my doctor, and God love her, great doctor, says, "Here's some sleeping pills, and hopefully that will help you and you have to stop working." And so in the meantime, I was alone. And once I got my sleep back on track, that's when I discovered tapping. I started tapping, and all the emotions of feeling like a failure, not being able to keep up at work. You start tapping and everything comes out. 3 weeks later, I just fell asleep on the couch on my own, and I had not fallen asleep by myself in over 2 years. So
I was
then
going to
I was
say,
like,
wow, then. I was going to say, wow.
wow,
Yeah, because what I'm looking at is, there can be many degrees of a sleep issue for a person. Yeah.
so
And
many.
the other key point, I'll pull it back to this lovely question I have in a second, but really what you've used is your pain and the fact that you were forced to research that area,
I
almost
was.
personal experience that propelled you. And, when we have pain like that, we can become an absolute expert in something. We know it from a personal perspective. Yeah. Hmm.
Big time. Like I know it so personally that,
Mm.
I have a client that even said to me the other day, she goes, "Every time I put my head on the pillow, I'm so tired. I put my head down and boom, I'm wide awake and I can't sleep till 4 a.m." And I'm like, yeah, because whatever got triggered when your head hit the pillow that was unprocessed during the day, we need to work on that. And she's like, "Everybody else would tell me I'm crazy, Carol." She goes, "But I say that to you," and you're like, "Yeah, that makes sense because I understand it. I know she's not lying to me. I know the minute her head hit that pillow, regardless of how tired she was, she bounced right back up awake." That's true. And when you understand that because you've been through it,
Yeah.
you don't try to say to them, "Oh, you'll be better tomorrow." Like, yes, our body will eventually go to sleep. They don't need to hear that. They need to hear, "Okay, let's do something to help your nervous system regulate again so that you can fall asleep." Because it's normal when your body is now trained to not sleep in bed, to
Yeah.
wake up. So, yeah,
No hiding place when you have that personal knowledge, is there? Hmm.
there's no hiding place. Yeah. It's good to be able to let people know that they're not crazy because when you're not sleeping, you feel crazy.
Yeah.
That is such a true feeling. And so I know from a deep personal experience that it is possible to get over your sleep issues. You just have to figure out what you need to do. And that's where I've put years of research into what needs to be done to fix
Mm.
your sleep.
So going back to that very stressful time period in your life where you found you were not sleeping, there's degrees to that problem. When you say not sleeping, do you mean the whole night? Or what do you mean?
So when I started not sleeping, it was the odd night. So I would say have a really stressful. So I dealt a lot with people's pay. So making sure, so on the system perspective, so I worked in the system that would pay people, but the system was broken. And no matter what we did to try to fix the system, I did not know every morning when I went into the office if 5 people would have no pay that week or if 100 people would have no pay. So it was very stressful in a sense of when you're sensitive and an empath, I would take on the responsibility of making sure everyone got a paycheck, which is part of my job. But what would happen if it was the day I had to run the report or before pay week, I then wouldn't sleep for 3 or 4 days because that was the stress then. So at the beginning, it was a few days here and there. And as the system kept being broken, and this went on for like 2 years, my stress level accumulated. And yes, there was support from supervisors, but the workload was extra. And so that was like the daily accumulated stress. And then what really happened is I had a teenage son who was going through issues, right? We all know that. And then I had a mother-in-law who had a heart attack. So not only did I have a big time job that I was responsible for what I considered very important, and I think it is because people need to pay their mortgage, then I had these other stressors and then a shock stress from my mother-in-law's heart attack. And that made it so that I then literally could not sleep at all. Like my nervous system was so hyped up that I literally slept 2 to 3 hours a night. And that was with taking 2 sleeping pills.
Wow.
Right. So, and it was under the guidance of my doctor. She was very aware of what was going on. She kept telling me I had to stop working. And I kept saying, no, I can't, because we get stuck. And I didn't have any tools to help me. What I did instead is I stopped all the self-care stuff I was doing, trying to find more time to then be able to give more, but I wasn't taking care of myself.
Yeah.
And so, yes, when I stopped working, when I had to stop working, I hadn't slept. It had to have been at least a year where there was no more than 3 to 4 hours a night. And that was broken sleep, and at least 2 years on sleeping pills where I was that bad.
I'm curious, if you were taking sleeping pills in that period, what type of quality of sleep do you have on sleeping pills?
You actually don't have very good quality of sleep on sleeping pills because, so this is the same as alcohol, sleeping pill, and I don't want to quite lump cannabis in there yet because I haven't done enough research on it, but it's not natural sleep.
Yeah.
You're not, your body isn't in that, like, low tone dorsal freeze response. We need to get into that low tone response of our freeze because, like, in the nervous system, you have fight, flight, or freeze. But and freeze has 2 tones. It's got like the high tone is shut down, depressed, not functioning. But the low tone is where you rest and digest for sleep. And when you're taking a sleeping pill and you're taking alcohol to help you sleep, or you're taking cannabis, you're not able to get into that low tone freeze that you need for rest and digest while you're sleeping. So you're sleeping, but you're not sleeping.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So it's not a fake sleep, but I would call it a fake sleep because it's not your biological sleep that you need.
Yeah, that's because one of my cousins many years ago, he was in hospital and they give him sleeping tablets because of something that happened to him. And he just said, basically, for him, he said, I felt awake all night, but sleep.
And so, when we look at our sleep stages, right, we have like sleep 1 where you're falling asleep. It's like 2 minutes. You don't even notice you're in stage 1. Then stage 2, you're in light sleep. And then stage 3, 4 together are your deep sleep. That's where your physical body restores itself. And then you have your REM sleep, whereas your mental restores itself. When you're taking a sleeping pill, you stay in light sleep.
Yeah.
So you're never getting that restorative. And they have a place. If your doctor is giving you a sleeping pill because you're getting 0 sleep, then go with the advice of your doctor and get at least 3 hours, right? But along with the sleeping pills, then you have to start making behavioral changes and maybe using tapping or meditation or getting a coach or somebody that can help you make the changes you need in order to get your sleep back on track.
Yeah. But an excellent point you make. It's put that into perspective. What you're saying is if you're absolutely desperate and you're not getting that sleep, a light sleep is better than nothing. Yeah.
Yes.
And a medication may help you get to that light sleep, but you're not going to have that regenerative sleep. That you're not going to go through all of the stages that you need to stay in a healthy position in life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
you know. And
Yeah.
so if I pull that back, because you do a lot of work with this problem, if I came to you, I don't have a problem so much with my sleep, but if I came to you, Carol, with a sleep issue, and obviously if if I'd had that for a period of time and getting so little sleep, I probably wouldn't be in a good emotional place at all, would I?
No, you wouldn't. You would be what I would call like you'd be functioning, but barely.
Hmm.
And and so what I do with people that first come to me is I really like this technique is just we just start tapping on the points and we hold the truth of what your relationship to your sleep is.
Hmm.
And I even ask that question when people join my Facebook group, like, what are the three words that you would describe that you would use to describe your relationship with your sleep? Erratic, frustrating, non-existent, like all those are the truth of what you're actually feeling about your sleep. And we just start kind of ranting, you've heard of rant tapping. So,
Yeah.
but you hold the truth on what really is your emotional relationship with your sleep. And it's so interesting what comes up for people. Like, and then you really get, so that's be the first stage. And I'm always listening for those. I don't know if you ever heard of blocking beliefs.
Yeah.
Uh, but
Hmm.
like it's not possible for me to sleep. It's not safe for me to go to sleep. I won't know who I am if I go to sleep. Some people with the psychological reversal, they might believe they want to get better with their sleep, but if they get back to sleep, then they have to go back to work and it's a horrible job. So it's better to hold on to the sleep issue than to go back to work. But they don't know that consciously.
No.
So tapping on the points, holding the truth about what you feel about your sleep, and just letting it out is the beginner point because then we know what we're working with,
Mm.
right? And everybody has a different story about their sleep or their lack of sleep or what they can do about it.
Yeah, well, in that case, and I said this before we came on this call, I loved your idea of well, you called it a truth rant before we come in, which
Yeah,
is you go into their thoughts, their relationship about their sleep, and they tap in on
yeah,
that. Yeah. So if I was your client, and you're probably going to use what you've had said to you by other clients, yeah. If you were to
yeah.
take me through that rant about my relationship with sleep, uh,
Okay.
I think it'd be good. So, because I think, when we're having these talks, people can relate to it more when they see it done. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. And I think that would be lovely. So I'm on for a truth rant here.
A true rant. So, and when I do a true rant, I don't always do the setup statement. Sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. It depends on the client in front of me. So
Yeah.
let's do it with one. So just tapping on the side of the hand, say, even though,
Even though
yeah, I just can't sleep.
I just can't sleep.
My body doesn't know how to fall asleep anymore.
My body doesn't know how to fall asleep anymore.
I deeply and completely accept who I am.
I deeply and completely accept who I am.
And even though
And even though
this really, really sucks,
this really, really sucks,
everybody around me can sleep,
everybody around me can sleep.
but there's something wrong with my body
But there's something wrong with my body
because it won't let me sleep.
because it won't let me sleep.
I acknowledge that that's what I believe right now.
I acknowledge that that's what I believe right now.
And even though
And even though
my body just won't fall asleep on its own,
my body just won't fall asleep on its own,
right here, right now, I'm okay.
right here, right now, okay.
And then I would take them through the points, the top of the head, and I would say, so what's coming up for you right now?
Yeah. Um, what did I say? Waking up.
Okay. And so things people will say, so just fall after me is like, oh my God, I'm so mad.
Oh my God, I'm so mad.
It's just not possible for me to go to sleep.
It's just not possible for me to go to sleep.
Yeah. Under the eye. I don't care what you say, Carol, it's not going to happen for me.
I don't care what you think, it's not going to happen for me
Yeah. Because I haven't slept in 2 years.
because I haven't slept in 2 years.
It's just not possible for me.
It's just not possible for me.
Right? And then, so we would keep doing that. And I would be writing everything down, they say.
Hmm.
And then we would just stop. We would take a breath.
Hmm.
And then from what they've given me, I would say, so what is the strongest for you? Which one is the most energetic truth to it. It's not possible for me to sleep. And as I'm watching them, you can tell if you've done enough tapping with people, their body language would change when you hit the one that is really their stickler. And then, so that's the most current truth that their system believes right now. And then we start going there and we start working one aspect at a time.
And what are the common sticklers you're coming across for people? What are the ones that really impact?
That it's not possible for them to go to sleep. That's a good one. It's not possible because they've tried everything, right? So what they've done, and God love them, because I did the exact same thing, is I drank coffee all day to keep me awake because I was so exhausted. And then I would come home and I would keep working. So instead of cooking a meal for my family, I would go pick up takeout, and I would come home and feed my kids and husband not very healthy foods and have a glass of wine to try to unwind. And so my behaviors were not conducive to proper sleep. But I didn't know that. So what helps most people is once we deal with the emotional, they don't think it's possible, then it becomes the education of a consistent bedtime sleep schedule. And I say it all the time. You know what we do with little children? We give them a bottle, we give them a bath, we read them a story, we rock them in the chair, and then we put them in their crib and then go to sleep.
Yeah.
Because they know what's going to happen. Our body needs the same thing. Our body needs to know that I wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and at 7 o'clock, I'm outside for a walk. And then I have coffee maybe at 9, and I have my lunch at a certain time. And then, at 8 o'clock, I put all my electronics away so that I can get ready for sleep, and I calm down the nervous system. And when I do that, my body goes, oh, it's bedtime. I'm going to go to sleep. And so that's I think this is the biggest thing that people don't realize, is that they have control over their sleep, but they have resistance at making the change.
Yeah.
Because they think, well, if I don't stay up till midnight, then I'm not going to have my alone time, because the kids don't go to bed till 10. So I need that 10 to 12 for my time. And they're not putting their time during the day. And so that's where we also do some tapping with, okay, let's figure out what changes you need to make behaviorally to get consistent with your sleep. And yes, that's 7 days a week, even on the weekend, because the minute you sleep in on the weekend, then you're going to create Sunday night anxiety. I have a video on YouTube about that, our body clocks like schedule. And we have this beautiful schedule during the week, and on the weekend, we just throw it out the window. And then we have to start again on Sunday night to try to go to bed at 9 o'clock when our body was used to staying up till midnight. So we've reset our body clock in 2 days. And then we have anxiety Sunday night because we can't fall asleep. And Monday morning, we got to go to work. So consistency is key. Just teaching people that. I don't know if I answered your question there, but I kind of went on a rant.
It's usually me that goes on the rant.
Yeah.
Pulling it right back, you said a lot of really key things just now.
Yeah.
The body does work via association. So, the moment they're doing that regular pattern, it's literally sending strong signals, sleep time. Yeah. And the good point as well, you talk about all the inappropriate strategies they have for getting to sleep. All right, I'll do the coffee, I'll exhaust myself, and then it doesn't work, does it?
Doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Uh-huh.
And when we talk about association too, like people who wake up through the night, it's normal for us to wake up 5 to 6 times through the night, because every time we change sleep cycles, we wake up. But most of us don't know it because it's so little, 2 to 3 seconds, unless you have trained your body to fully wake up. And then you wake up, and then you're laying in bed, and you start your body and your mind associates the bed with a place that it's okay to think and worry and ruminate, because that's what you've always done. And that's where the trick comes in of getting out of bed. So breaking that association with your bed and going out to the couch, even if it's 2-3 times in the night, and saying, I will not go back to my bed until I can sleep. But in the meantime, using tapping, sitting on the couch, holding the truth, tapping on the points. I just want to go to sleep. There's a big presentation tomorrow. Oh my God, I'm going to be exhausted. I won't be able to function. Everything that you want to say, but you're not saying because you're afraid to say it because you think it's going to keep you awake. But a truth expressed actually allows the nervous system to calm down. And then you go back to bed. And if you're not sleeping within 15 minutes, you get back out. So I had a client that was so resistant at doing this. We did some tapping. There's also a YouTube video on that where I used some of her words to then recreate a YouTube video for the audience. And within 3 days, she broke that association. Now, it doesn't mean it's not going to come back. It still happens to me. If I have a stressful day and I start ruminating in bed, I get out of bed because I know where I've suffered with sleep issues before. We know that the neural pathway is still there. I still want to lay in bed and ruminate. And if I allow it to happen, then I'm going to get back into sleep issues. But when I can say, nope, I'm going to go sit on the couch, within a night or two, I'm back on my sleep schedule. So it's really breaking the associations and then using EFT to help us do that and rewire the brain with a new neural pathway.
Which is a good idea, isn't it? You pattern breaking. Yeah. Once they go into rumination, pattern break. Get out, get up, get out, go down. And then you can work on that whilst you're on the couch, which is not the same association. Clear and then go to bed. And then after 15 minutes, if you're still not asleep by that point, back to the couch. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's hard for people. And that's that one I don't suggest that until they've tried other things like, imaginary tapping in bed is one thing they can do. They can just try orienting to like tapping while they're orienting, like I'm in my bed, there's no flood, there's no monsters coming out from under the bed, like I'm safe here, I can go to sleep, whatever techniques I can get them to try first before the actual getting out of bed. Yeah. But the getting out of bed is the one that works the best. Yeah. But when there's resistance to that, then there might be other ways.
Well, people like, you talk about imaginary tapping. People do find that quite soothing, don't they, really? Yeah. And also touch and breathe is another soothing approach, isn't it, really? Because, a little bit of tapping can be a little bit stimulating sometimes.
But you can squeeze your fingers while you're in bed. Yeah. Steve Wells has this, I release all emotional attachment to, laying in bed, saying that I release all emotional attachment to my day. Squeeze your fingers as you're saying it. Take a breath, do box breathing, anything to help you fall asleep again. However, if that's going to take you an hour, you've created an association with your bed that for an hour, it's okay for me to lay there and try to release and try to sleep and try. And the more we try, the less that it works.
Yeah.
So get out of bed, right? So those are just some of the things. And we use EFT and all of that to help it happen.
Yeah.
Right. To manage it, to manage the stress load.
Yeah. And, there's so many directions, but to go here, you've given a lot of ideas in this interview. What I would say is that I suppose it just keeps going back to me how you got into this a little bit, how you were in that, I think it's an accountancy type of job, isn't it, where you were doing payroll. And I could see, I just have to say, I see the massive stress on that because you make a mistake in that field, devastating consequences. And hence why you got the problem in the first place. So I see where that comes from. Massively.
Yeah. And and when we look at life, if I had one thing happening, but I had like 3 major crises going on at once.
Yeah.
Right. And we only have so much capacity and we override our capacity every single day. The capacity of what we can handle, right? And that puts a stress on our system and on our sleep like nothing else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With that being said, what would be the last tip you would give to anyone who's got a sleep issue? What would be that key piece of information?
So the key piece of information. So my message I want to share out there is it is possible for every single person to get the sleep they deserve. It is possible. However, they have to decide to make it happen for themselves.
Yeah.
And if we keep doing the same thing and expecting different results, well, we're not going to have different results. So we have to look at what we're doing where our stressors are coming from. What are we willing to actually do in order to get the better sleep we want? Because once we start sleeping, all the things we think we don't have time or energy for, it will come back. So there's going to be a period of time where you're resetting, where your life is going to fall apart and you're going to say, this is not really working. But all of a sudden you start sleeping because you're managed the stress of your life and you've rejigged your life. And then all of a sudden, like sleep comes and then you do things you never believed you could before. You make new friendships, you make new relationships, you become the better parent that you never could before because you were too tired. You actually start having date nights with your husband again because you have the energy to be up past 7, and you let go of the things that don't matter. Like you really don't care that your whites and your colors get mixed up in the washing machine anymore, because at the end of the day, you can go buy another shirt if you turned it pink. And so it's that everybody is capable of this, but they just have to choose it for themselves, is what I would want to say.
Thank you for that. And life does look totally different when you're in a balanced place, doesn't it? Absolutely different. You can try and make that happen, but you have that sleep and it's naturally going to happen for people.
Exactly.
So, Carol, if people wanted to find out about your work, how would they find you?
So a few different ways. So the best place would be to go to my website, so sleepsuccessacademy.com. From there, you'll get a link to be able to get my free guide. I have a journey to better sleep, 5 action steps to improve the quality of your sleep. I also have a YouTube channel, which I'm very proud of. I just started it over a year ago, just wanting to share what I knew. Like I didn't know what I was going to do. And like the first few videos, they're, not that good because I didn't really know what I was doing. But I've reached over 100 subscribers. And so really excited and proud of that, because I just every week share something that I know might help someone. And if I just help one person per video, then that is more. So they can do that. Just Carol Richard, sleep coach. They'll find me there on YouTube. And besides that, they can send an email, support@sleepsuccessacademy.com.
All right. So I'll put that on this video here as well. I thank you very much for sharing that information. I'm no doubt it will help people tremendously then, because I think the thing that's sticking in my mind is when people get these issues, they often go down the totally wrong strategy for clearing it. And it's not that way. You don't do a couple of cups of tea or coffee to exhaust yourself or keep you awake. There is a very beautiful way to deal with that. So thank you very much, Carol, for sharing your knowledge with us. And
You're welcome.
I will finish now. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.